Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. It's Connor. We're back here with the three things that we learned against last night against Bristol City. Let me know how you're doing, everybody. Let me know what's going on as well. What did you think to the games last night? As I just take a little step back here on the old chair. Let us know what's going on. Let me know the three things as well, everybody. What did you think that Leeds were brilliant at last night? What did you think we could have improved? Lovely to see a lot of you in the comment section below as well. So yeah, just let us know what you think. I'm very interested to get your thoughts on yesterday's game as well. If you didn't catch the match reaction, make sure you do so, of course. And yeah, let's get into it, everybody. So let's get into a few of your comments. Morning, Connor. Second spot, already looking good, pal. Yeah, I'd agree with you. Morning, Connor, says Fuerteventura White. Hello, my friend. An in-form Gnonto is like a new signing. Morning, Connor. Second spot on, mate. Already looking at the first spot. Was at the game last night. Really pleased for Gnonto. But Gray was outstanding. He was, mate. He was very, very, very good. I think we're all very aware of how good this kid is, and the conundrum now that Daniel Farke has between Gray and obviously Gray and Con Roberts is going to be interesting. But it's not only that. I think what we learned last night is it's across the pitch. You know, it's across the pitch. It's not just going to be an Archie Gray. It's going to be a Willy Gnonto or a Dan James. You know, how can you take Willy Gnonto after last night, after a really good performance? Pascal Struijk, there's a lot of people saying that he doesn't get back in over Ethan Ampadu. Elia Grove stays in with Glenn Kamara. That's crazy. It's massive, isn't it? The sort of conversations we're having across the pitch now. Not only that, everybody, Jayden Anthony, not getting as many minutes as you expected when he scored that brilliant goal against Plymouth and was one of the best players on the pitch. It's crazy how this is sort of turned really at this moment in time in terms of Leeds United having so many options. And we knew we had so many options, but I think the big thing, what's happened right now, is the options stepping up and getting goals and putting in proper performances, the second string so-called options. And I think we learned last night that the rotation options are very decent for Leeds. And I think we all know that. But last night they proved it, in my opinion. There was a step up from so many players last night in terms of, and over the last few weeks, really, when there's been a couple of disputes in the squad and a couple of players have been out injured, namely Pascal Struijk being the obvious one, there's been rotation, but the rotation's been really good. So, yeah, really happy with that. And yeah, all really good stuff when it comes to Leeds United. Now, what else did we learn last night? And we're going to get into a couple of your comments, everybody, very, very soon. But Farke's substitutions, I'm still a little bit, I thought we looked leggy yesterday at points. I thought we looked really leggy. And one thing that we're learning with Daniel Farke is he just has his substitutions pretty much tied up, doesn't he? We all know sort of that he's not going to bring anyone on beyond the sort of like, we're not going to get an immediate halftime substitution. We're not going to get anything, on the sort of like 55th, 60th minute. Notoriously, it is going to be a 75th minute and onward substitution. 75th minute being the earliest point. So, yeah, I think that's something that we're learning is just becoming a Farke thing. What I would say, though, is I'm not a massive fan of some of the players sort of being brought on at certain moments in games. We've seen Joel Perreault a couple of times now been brought on with like a minute to go. I don't really get that. It is what it is. But, a player like Joel Perreault, 16 million quid, I think he's got to have more time. That Bamford did look tired as well. But I think what we're all learning with Patrick Bamford really overall is he's just a very, sorry, not Patrick Bamford, with Daniel Farke, he's just a very stubborn bloke, which is good in many ways, very good. It's helped him man management wise, but I also think sometimes it can be a little bit, maybe he needs to sort of see some development in himself as well. But guys, listen, none of us are perfect. Absolutely none of us are perfect. And when it comes to Daniel Farke, he's got a lot to learn. He's still got a lot to learn. He's a very young manager and he's going to have to learn a lot when it comes to the Premier League. Let me get into some of your guys' comments as well, but keep getting them in, everybody. I'm going to be reading as much as I can. But yeah, Leeds United, he does bring on late to waste time, Sam. I think we're all sort of aware of that, but I guess it's do we need that, or do we need them brought on a little bit earlier? I thought the lads were a little bit tired yesterday. Actually makes sense, Michael. Yeah, there's a lot of conversation here. Morning. Just happened to catch this. The baby woke up and needed feeding. Kentucky, USA. I thought Rutter had a great game last night. The late subs are killing it at this point. I thought he was excellent, mate. I thought he was really, really good. Jorginho Rutter last night was probably I think Somerville's ball carrying ability is just second to none. It's so good. But I think overall, when we're really looking at it, Jorginho Rutter is just such a performer when it comes to Leeds United. When he's on it, Leeds are on it. But Chris Somerville, listen, he wasn't great last night, but let's be brutally honest. The ball carrying, the chances created, the amount of players he's attracting to him. This guy galvanises Leeds United so much with his dynamic, fluid runs. He's so good. Crysencio Somerville, he's so good. Last night, he's not had his shooting boots on, but please do not misunderstand, from my perspective, never try and misunderstand how good this guy is. And him being in the side really gets Leeds going when it comes to those attacking transitions, because otherwise, I feel like a lot of the time we wouldn't break that last line. Somerville is the one who will get the ball and run at people. I think sometimes we can be a little bit passive in our build-up, but Crysencio Somerville will drop get hold of the ball and run. That is what is different, in my opinion, about him and even Willy Gnonto at this stage. Rutter is a little bit more similar in terms of his direct running, but overall, Chris Somerville is the one who gets the ball and runs immediately forward, and that is what we need. And I think that's what I mentioned the other night when it came to the midfield. Last night when it came to the midfield, it was just the fact that sometimes I do feel that they are a little bit passive in the build-up. I think sometimes it is side to side, and I think we saw a little bit of that last night when it came to Glenn Kamara and Elia Gruev. Those switch balls, I was mentioning it last night, they're always on for Leeds United. And do you know why, everybody? I keep saying this. What is the worst option that's going to happen with a long ball? The defender win it and we pick up the second ball. It's like we were doing consistently last night. Play the ball long, Bamford doesn't win it, defender heads it down, Leeds win the second ball. It's happening every single time. You bypass a press, you bypass a phase of play, and Leeds are immediately onto it in the opposition half. So yeah, Daniel, hey Daniel, Connor, passing and holding the ball is better. Yeah. I thought we were very good. In terms of developing our passing last night. Daniel, I thought the passing got a lot better, crisper, especially in the second half. You know, with fatigue kicked in as well at points, I thought Leeds were recycling the ball really, really nicely, and the patterns of play were good last night. The good last night overall. Like, we were dominant. Leeds were completely dominant. If we're being brutally honest with each other, we were dominant. We were the better team, and we deserved to win the game. But it was that Mehmedi chance, wasn't it, at the end where Illan Meslier was called in and made a good save. I will say this: a lot of hysteria about it being an unbelievable save. It's a save I'm expecting him to make, and this isn't showing any doubt on him. It really, really isn't. I'm really happy with Illan Meslier in terms of just his championship pedigree. You know, I'd have still got a new keeper. I would have still done that in the windows, but I'm not completely against him, you know, obviously improving and being our number one and you know, keeping hold of that jersey and proving people like me wrong. Last night was a good performance for him last night. You know, I said it on the instant match reaction. I thought his kicking was good. I thought his anticipation, especially when it came to the Ethan Ampadu head sort of back pass, which was poor. He came out, anticipated that very, very, very nicely, and he made a really good save. But it is a save I'd expect him to make. But he kept Leeds in it at that point. But overall, the wastefulness is still a big problem for me with this Leeds side. So at some points, we just seem to really struggle when it comes to clinical. Clinical is the word. Ruthlessness is the word. Getting the ball in front of goal and rifling it in the bottom corner and killing the game. Ipswich still feeling the heat? Yeah, 100%. Dino says, do you want to talk about the standards of the ref? The thing is, Dino, what we're trying to do with three things we learned is, I think we're trying to teach each other things. There's nothing about the referees where I look at it and go, wow, that's something new. Oh, no, it's another ref who's making it all about himself. He's egotistical and he's almost trying to be the pantomime villain. It's always been the same in this division. It never increases, but it's not just the Championship at all. It is the Premier League as well. You never say, but 1-0, need to put our chances away. I agree. I guess the positive thing is it's another clean sheet that Leeds have added to their repertoire this season, which is good. Really, really good. Another clean sheet. You know, clean sheets are going to get you promoted in this division. But the big thing about where we are now, everyone, is it's the psychological thing. You know, the psychological thing of what Leeds have done right now is we put this pressure right now on Southampton and Ipswich. Yes, they have 2 games in hand. Yes, the maximum behind us right now is 2 points. Yes, they're probably going to win today. But Leeds breaching that top 2 for the first time this season is significant. Exactly, especially with where we were in the division. With where we were in the division in terms of points. Yeah. Morning, Connor. Buzz this morning. Hi, Des. Hi, Michael. Hello. Do you think Perot can be used out wide? I don't, mate, Connor. I don't think he's got the pace to be able to operate as a winger. What I would say about Joel Perot, though, is I would like to see him get more minutes. You know, I was the one who was saying with Perot that he's sort of not at that standard that he's going to fit into this system. He's just not. Leeds look much better with Patrick Bamford. You know, even though Bamford winds all of us up, Leeds look much better with him up top. They just do as a system. You know, Bamford's not, you know, he's not been scoring a ridiculous amount of goals, but Farke keeps him up there for one reason and one reason only. It's hold-up play, in running the channels and getting between the centre-backs. I think there is a notion, there is a tendency for Perot to just drop off into that 10. That's why I was saying last night, Rutter should have come off for Perot at one point, I thought, because he looked leggy. And now, obviously, we don't have that option of Ian Pervada. I love Rodon doing the Leeds salute, 100%. How good was Gray, DLR Fabrication says. This is the thing now. So I think DLR, the interesting thing about this now with Archie Gray is he's developed so much and he's so good. What do they do with him? Because he's going to have to come out, in my opinion, for his development. In my opinion, for his injury record as well. I think when I mentioned development, he's got to be hungry to get back in. He's got to see Roberts as some real competition. And he's got to think to himself, right, you know, that's my position. But at the same time, I would still see Archie Gray, in my opinion, as a central midfielder. He's developed as a right back. It's another sort of like, you know, string to his bow. But he is, in my opinion, a central midfielder. He has got every attribute: athleticism, physicality, height, combativeness, guile, an engine, you know, finesse. He's got all of these attributes to be a top central midfielder. I think, if anything, I know right backs and all this sort of stuff are becoming, and full backs are becoming part of the modern game. And I know, like, when you look at Trent, when you look at all of these other players, Kyle Walker, they like to invert into central midfield. But it's just the standardised central midfielder. I'm picking Archie Gray all day. So I still want him to be in that role. I still think for me, he gives Leeds more. He gives Leeds more in that central midfield. We saw that earlier on in the season. I think we're all sort of turning around and going, "Oh, how can he be displaced? How can he be displaced?" Well, I think there should be a battle and a conversation between him and Glenn Kamara, because Daniel Farke's never going to revert to a 3. I think a 3 in that midfield would be lovely. Someone at the base, and then the two sort of more like a 6 and an 8. That'd be really nice. Then you could put Archie in the 8, Kamara in the 6 or whatever. And then it's between Ampadu and Gray. For me, Ampadu's winning that all day in midfield. But it's a real conversation now. But Gray, for me, as he always has been, is a central midfielder. I'm seeing a lot online about how's Daniel going to pick it. Well, it's up to Daniel Farke. He is the boss man. Of course he is. But we all saw how good Archie Gray was central midfield earlier on in the season. And I think he's got a big role to play there for Leeds United. And even if he is rotated a little bit, that's, as I mentioned at the beginning, that's going to aid his development. And having that competition in there, 4 midfielders going for 2 spots, that's really good, in my opinion. And I'd be confident with them all. We've now got Elijah Gruev, we've now got Glenn Kamara, Ethan Ampadu, and Archie Gray, all competing for a central midfield spot. I don't think that's a bad place to be in whatsoever. Chris SVN, thank you for becoming a YouTube member, mate. I mentioned this last night as well, but we've got all the comments up from the Patreon. We're going to be doing another episode on the Patreon. If anybody wants to join the Patreon, link in the description below. But shout out to all the YouTube members as well. Your comments will be read out first, and you get a nice little emoji there as well. Hi, Connor. Great to see Willie score and celebrate as he did. Yeah, Andrew, exactly. You know, I think it was a release for him, wasn't it? It was a release for him. I think he's gone through a lot of problems at Leeds, and it's been by his own means. And, you know, I'm not taking the blame away from what he did. I'm not. But overall, I think he's done enough. I think he's shown enough. I forgave him almost instantaneously anyway. But there is a large section of our fan base that will hold a grudge against him because he's not sort of side before self, which I also understand. However, if he comes on, scores for Leeds, puts in really good performances, is sparingly used by Daniel Farke, which might be another psychological sort of imprint when it comes to his man management in terms of you've done this, you're only going to be steadily put back into the side. If that is how he's doing it, fine. But what I'm seeing with Willy Gnonto constantly, and I still see it in my comment section below, get rid of him, all this sort of stuff. I am seeing with Willy Gnonto a lad who, when he's literally coming on for 5 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes, not throwing his dummy out the pram, which you would expect from a lad who is wanting to or has wanted to go previously. I'm seeing him, when he's come on, giving his all, which he should do as a footballer. It's a given. It's a prerequisite. Of course it is. But if he's wanting to go, throwing his dummy out the pram, you maybe wouldn't expect that. I'm also seeing him when other teammates on our side who score, who are ahead of him, miles ahead of him when it comes to squad selection, including a player who technically and ability-wise, Gnonto's miles ahead in terms of Dan James. Listen to what I'm saying there. Technically and ability-wise, Gnonto's miles ahead of Dan James. And every single time his mates are scoring a goal, he's celebrating with them, even if he's not getting on the pitch. Last night, he's scoring a goal, and his number one objective is to get in front of the fans and give it, and it's a release. At the end of the game, he's going in front of the fans, clapping the fans. I don't really know what more he can do. I do not know what more he can do to sort of prove it looks like, I think what the sign, seal and deliver moment will be for a lot of fans is probably that new contract. But if he signs a new contract, if he's barely getting any minutes, but he's positive and productive, if then he's getting onto the pitch and winning the game for Leeds, what more does he need to do for some fans? And he will never be able to do enough for some fans. But for me, you know, a lot was proven earlier on that I'm happy with Willy being at the club, to be quite honest with you, and I'm really happy with how he's going at this moment in time. Connor, what do you think of the Gruev and Kamara partnership? I like it, Ty. To be honest, I wasn't a massive fan of, in a sense, how they sort of were last night. I thought as a midfield pairing, they were pretty poor last night. I thought they were just doing the basics right. I thought the main guy last night, if we're being brutally honest with each other, the main guy was Ethan Ampadu. He was doing the midfield job from the back. He was spraying the passes. He was conducting the balls. He was anticipating the balls, playing them down the line, playing them down the channel. He was also playing the ball into Patrick Bamford's feet, which is what the midfield really should be doing. But I feel sometimes it's clustered, and I know a lot of you guys really, really love Gruev, and I think Gruev's great. But he's not shown me as much as I think a lot of you guys are saying, and that's just my opinion, portraying. I think last night there were opportunities for him to get the ball, open his body and spray it. And I was saying on a stream yesterday, he does that more than a Kamara, and that's what I like about him. And he does that more maybe than others, and I like that about him. But he still has that safety on. I keep mentioning it, that handbrake on. Last night, Leeds was so wide and so far up the pitch. I think Daniel Farke just said to the fore, you literally play midway between the opposition's half. Just stay there. And the midfield will sort it, the defence will sort it when it comes to getting forward, transitioning Leeds a little bit beyond that first and second phase. Gruev had so much opportunity to just play that ball forward. And I think he did it once. And I was disappointed with that because every time Kamara got the ball, he's looking for that with his weaker foot. So, yeah, I was disappointed a little bit with Gruev last night, but I'm not going to go too hard. The midfield were combative, but I just think there's a lot of ability there. And I'd like them to sort of press on the action when it comes to those midfield responsibilities a little bit more. Michael says, Ampadu, thanks for donation, buddy. Ampadu can be quality centre-back, mate. His position play is amazing. He can do a future job in the Premier League. Yeah, Michael, I'd hold back on and I think this is dangerous. I think it is a little bit dangerous talking about the Premier League right now. And because we're seeing a lot of our boys do well right now, we all know what the Premier League is like. Our chances last night that we had against Bristol City, and our chances, that the extra chances, you know, that we've created, and we've been brilliant in getting into these positions. And we've just galvanised when it comes to getting forward and you know, having strikes on goal. The chances we create, and let's say we'll maybe score really on average in most games with the chances we create, maybe sort of 60% of those chances, 55, 60%. I still think we lack a little bit of ruthlessness. In the Premier League, most of those teams are taking 80% of those chances, 85% of those chances. And the reason I bring that up is because I think we still need to resonate with how much of a jump that is. I still believe Leicester are going to have mass surgery to their squad. and I'm going to do a video on this early next week as well, everyone, so watch out for that. But it's going to be a little bit of a perspective on where Leeds are at if we are to get to the Premier League. But there is going to be a lot of churn in this squad, even if we are to get up. The 49ers know that there's players coming back. They know that there's players out of contracts. They know that there are going to be bids for players as well. The 49ers are going to be ruthless this summer, in my opinion, especially with the new head of talent acquisition. It's going to be a ruthless summer, and we're probably going to see a lot of our favourite bodies leaving, but it's going to be a real transitional summer, in my opinion, for the 49ers. But I think it's just key to note that because Ampadu's been really good in the Championship, we also have to, and there's been development, centre-back that is, but there has been development, but we also need to keep a keen eye on the fact that he was playing for Sheffield United in the Premier League at centre-back primarily, and it didn't go well for him. The Premier League is such a massive, massive, massive step up that, you know, there is going to have to be, in my opinion, some real foundations laid for Leeds United, and the 49ers will know that. What result last night? We all know Connor's Willy is hard. You'll never live that down, mate. Yeah, shout out to Lofts if you can see the shorts I put out last night. Shout out Chris, new member of the channel. Curious to see what Archie and Ampadu do in midfield. Robertson Firpo at the back would do. Would have fancied a new centre back to finish off our brick wall. Yeah, I agree, man. I wonder if that's instructed by Gruev. Gruev has the ability, says Jamie, to pass through those lines. Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. Hope to see the other two lose today. Brad says, by the way, I really think Rodon could end this season being better than Ben White. Ooh, interesting. Rodon is ridiculous. Can you remember him making a mistake or really getting beat? No, mate. Probably. What I would say about Ben White is, I think, let's not take away the importance that guy had for us. I think Rodon's probably part of a better back line, maybe than Ben was part of. I know there'll be a lot of debate there, but maybe part of a better back line. And I would say, you know, partnered with a better centre back right now. You know, I think Rodon's partnered with a better centre back when it comes to Pascal Strout. But as well, I think when you look at Rodon's play, I think sometimes, like defensively, he's a man mountain. All those sort of, you know, historical context you get with the centre back. You know, he'd head anything out. He's brilliant when it comes to putting himself first, and he is side before self. I think Ben White was what they call a modern fullback. You know, you would just get Ben getting the ball and running with it. You know, you get the ball, Ben would get the ball and just play it. Left foot, right foot. Let's, and you're not doing this, by the way, Brad, but let's not sort of ignore how good Ben White was for us. For me, impact-wise, he was the best centre-back I've seen at the club. Impact-wise, he was so good for Leeds United. But yeah, I think Rodon's brilliant. I really do. But I think Ben White had a lot more to his game. And let's bear in mind, he starts for Arsenal week in, week out now, you know? Yeah, Furbo's not injured. That's great. Hope the other two lose today. Ben Ropes in the building. How you, Ben? Shout out to all of you here, everybody, as well. Please slap a like on the video. Apologies for the live stream last night. My internet just decided to die, and it was a flat problem. So please make sure you're liking the video. If you want bonus content, head on over as well as always to the Patreon, and shout out to Chris, who's become the latest YouTube member. Shout out to you, Michael. Jorginho, do you think he has has made the cam roll his own? Gets me up a seat. French team in the next 2-3 years, maybe. Yeah, I think so, Michael. I think you're spot on with that. The cam roll is his. He's not a striker. I would love to see him as an inverted winger. Imagine how good he is we know how good he is as a dribbler, cutting in off that right-hand side and blasting it in with his left foot. That's what he did with Hoffenheim, you know, in the Bundesliga. That's where he got all this acclaim. So I think as an inverted winger, would be really, really good. I think we all know he needs to spruce up a little bit with some decision-making. We saw that again last night, and his finishing just needs to improve. But there's so many things we learned from last night, everybody. It's not just the three things. Ren's in the building. Hi, Ren. I'm interested to see what would happen if we played Bamford with Perot behind him and move Rutter out wide. Any thoughts, as that's not happened yet? I mean, Rutter, I think, as a profile, would be very, very good out wide. I think him running at a fullback consistently. He'd have to invert, obviously, because he'd be cutting it off that right-hand side onto his left. I'd love to see that. I think we'd all love to see that because that is his position. We've not seen his real position at Leeds United, which is strange in itself. But yeah, Jorginho Rutter. I guess when you're inverting as a winger, Ren, you kind of become a central attacking midfielder anyway because you're moving into that part of the pitch. But overall, I'd also like to see that. But I think in the 4-2-3-1 system, I guess it would be how would you move around those chess pieces to fit that? You know, how are you going to move? You know, the jigsaw to sort of sort of finalise that. It'd be difficult, wouldn't it? Patreon content is quality for my drives to work. Yeah, cheers, mate. Really appreciate that. We'll have another video on afterwards. Keep liking the video as well, everybody. As well, everyone, if you are on Twitter and you're following One Leeds FC or you're on Instagram and you retweet and all this sort of stuff, I will give you a follow back. So please make sure you do that. Just means that the video is shown to other people as well. Morning, Connor. I am late to the party, hoping all is well. Hey, Gordon. How's everything in Cotman Thorpe, mate? All good? I do worry what happens to the team if we don't go up. Yeah, Luke. Well, that's got to be a contingency plan that Leeds have. Rick Gillingham, great win. Happy overall, but we need to start finishing off games with 2 or 3 goals. But a win's a win. Let's keep the run going and get automatic promotion. Chris back in the building. Do we know how long James will be off? So pleased with last night, but still think we missed James's turbo made on the wing and clinical crosses. Yeah, shout out to you as well, Matt. Yeah, I agree. I think James has been so good. And if you'd have told me he'd have had, 10, 11 goals by January, I'd have laughed in your face. I genuinely would have laughed in your face, but he's been excellent. There's no way around it. He's been truly excellent for Leeds this season. He's made me a little bit of humble pie, but believe it or not, everyone, just because I have opinions on people doesn't mean that I don't want them to do well for my club. That's such a weird warped mentality. If some of you genuinely believe I want certain players to fail, and because I've said that they're bad. I'm not an I told you so merchant. It's very, very rare me coming on here and going, I told you I said this. I told you I said that. What the hell's the point in that? Football changes. It's weird people doing that, but I'm not that sort of person. So, like, overall, Dan James has been better than what Willy Gnonto has produced this season. So Dan James deserves, if football is a meritocracy, to be right back in there. And I agree when it comes to his pressing. I think last night when they're trying to play out from the back and Cree's catching them every single time, imagine Dan on the other side. Imagine Dan on the other side just hounding them down. And he sort of creates something out of nothing every single time. Every single time. So, yeah, I'm a massive fan of him. Massive fan of Daniel James and what he's producing this season. So, yeah, I do actually think when Dan is back, we don't know how long he's out for. It looked quite minor, but I think we've just been a bit sort of cautionary with keeping him out. But when Dan's back, he does go straight back in. I think Willie still needs to show more, even if it is a goal. What does Somerville need to be a Premier League player, mate, at his age? Will want to get in the Holland team. I think he fits into every single Premier League squad. Bold statement. I think squad, he fits into every single Premier League squad. I think he's that good. I think his ceiling's that high. I would say he'd get onto City's bench ahead of one of the youngsters. I fully believe that. That's why he's the best. That's why he's the best player in the division. Thanks as well for that, Mike. The question I ask every month, when's the fans fight? Brad, honestly, mate, it was supposed to be last night after the game if this bloody internet didn't give up. So I promise you, mate, it's something we are 100% looking at on the channel. I want to do it with Gabe and I want to get you guys on. And that is literally something that I will give you notice for next week. You need to be following all the socials because I'll let you know on there. Promise you, it's supposed to be last night. So annoying. But we are going to get it up and running this week. So the fan phone-ins are going to be back. I know you guys loved it. It was great getting your opinions in as well. So stay tuned for that. Follow us on the socials. Make sure if you're not subscribed, you're not going to get notified because I update on the YouTube community posts as well. So make sure you're following on all that sort of stuff as well. It's well worth it. 100 points of promotion, mate. It might have to be that. Might have to be that. Yeah, it'll be quality with Gabe and the other lads on. Yeah, 100%, mate. And I want to get all your... At a lot of these streams, I'm answering a lot of your questions and you guys stimulate debate. And I want to get your opinions. It was great when we did it before. If you guys are original members of the channel, we did it. We had South Africans on, Aussies on, people from Leeds, well, all different types of people. It was brilliant. Mozambique. You know, there's Leeds fans everywhere, and that's why the fan phone-ins are brilliant, because it gives you guys perspective. Even if you don't want to come on, you're like, wow. And it's really interesting hearing their story. How did you become a Leeds fan? Well, what is the story there? You know, we did it so much last time, and it was really, really, really enjoyable and insightful as well. You know, and I think that is a big thing, and I want to bring that back. You know, the reason I started this, I did say it as one community, because if you're born in Mozambique, or if you're born in Manchester, or you're born in Bristol, or you're born in, you know, wherever it is, or, you know, Guinea, wherever you got, and you're a Leeds fan, it's one community. It doesn't matter. Someone said to me the other day, you're not a Leeds fan because you're Manchester and you brand yourself as one community. All right, so anybody who lives outside of Leeds isn't a Leeds fan. That is such an archaic, idiot point of view. So listen, wherever you're from and you're a Leeds fan, we want to hear your stories as well, not just your opinion on Leeds. So that will be coming back. And it's beautiful doing it with Gabe, because Gabe's an American who barely gets to the Leeds games, but, you know, he watches them all the time. He loves Leeds, so it's great doing it with him as well. Thanks for that, John. Thanks, Michael. Michael, I hope, yeah, Gabe's a proper addition to the channel. I live in Paris and I'm a Leeds fan. Ron, that's fantastic. Also, Justin, something that's going to be coming on the channel very, very soon as well. Quizzes, which I can't wait to get back in there. That's going to be it for me on your Saturday. Ipswich and Southampton are going to be playing today. Keep your eyes on that one. Leeds United second in the table for now. Conor McGilligan, will be back tomorrow with some sort of content, some form of content to keep you guys entertained. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're enjoying the stream quality as well. The new sort of beach yacht setup here. But anyway, please make sure you join the YouTube memberships if you haven't already. I will shout you out on the next video if you join as a YouTube member. Patreon, I'm heading over there now to do a video. Make sure you're tuning in for that, everybody. And I'm going to be reading out other Patreon's comments, so they feature on most videos as well. Thank you so much. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the other side.